here's a really quick little ICAD for you guys. This was painted purple. It just had some like leftover paints that I had used from other projects, and so that's why I didn't have video footage of it. And I'm using one of my favorite Unwow Studio stencils. This is the Star Confetti stencil, and I am using Viva Decor Inca Gold with a brush, and I am just stippling that color through the stencil. And this stuff is so cool. I'll show you what I do with it in a second. While I am working on that, if you take a look at that clock thing that's in the upper left-hand corner, that is a piece of a soda can that I die cut using the Tim Holtz weathered clock die. And then what I did was I very lightly painted it with acrylic paint to make it aged and patinaed, and then lightly sanded it. So a really cool way of using up old soda cans. You just have to be really careful because they're super sharp when you cut them out. But for some reason, when you die cut them, they're not sharp anymore. So I don't know if the pressure of the die kind of bends the edges in a little bit, but it wasn't sharp to handle. So I've had that metal clock in my craft room for about a year now, so it's good to have it finally used up. So then I'm pulling the stencil off and letting the Inca Gold dry. Obviously not on the stencil. It'll come off of the stencil with just a little bit of water if you do let it dry. But don't let it dry. So yeah, cleaned it off. And once the Viva Decor is dry, then you use a paper towel and buff the color up with the paper towel. And the Viva Decor does not take very long to dry at all. I keep saying Viva Decor. The Inca Gold does not take long to dry at all. So it's not like it's something you really have to worry about. So while I'm doing a whole bunch of nothing, just a little side note, I tore a whole bunch of ligaments in my ankle on Halloween. I was wearing very, very tall shoes. Not the shoes you might expect I was wearing, but they were like Herman Munster platform boots. And yeah, I kind of took a spill in those. So I am currently very immobile. So yeah. With only 6 class days left in the semester, I'm like, man, I couldn't have waited until after the semester was over, so now I have to hoof it to campus, and ugh, what a pain. So anyway, so as you can see, I am buffing those stars out with the paper towel, and you can see how shiny they get once you buff it. It's beautiful. I mean, there's really no other product quite like this, because it's dry. It's kind of almost a dry product, like it doesn't take long to dry at all, and you don't have to worry about heating it with the heat gun and letting it dry, and it's really pretty quick. So then I just took some black, I think it was ink. I think that was the Donna Salazar ink. I wasn't paying attention. If you were paying attention, you can tell me down below. So, and it may have been paint, but I think it was ink. And just use a little bit of water, and I'm using a paintbrush just to flick some spatters on there. And I didn't like those great big ones. I liked the little ones. I was going for a kind of celestial look on this ICAD because I have the stars on there, and I kind of had the phrase in mind, what I was trying to work on. So this is a piece of mesh I had on a piece of mess. It's a piece of mesh I had on my desk. So I took the whole thing and sewed it. I sewed the clock face on. I sewed around the edges to keep the mesh on. And I like using hot glue on the back to keep all of my strings down, and then I snip them short once the hot glue dries. And that stops the front stitches from coming out, from being pulled out. So that's how I like to lock my stitches down on paper. And it was really fun sewing around the curve of that clock, because I did both the outside and the inside curve of the clock. And it was fun, and it came out pretty. It looks good. So this is a very simple ICAD. There's not a whole lot to it, but I think that's kind of the beauty. Sometimes I get carried away, and I'm very heavy-handed with things. So it was nice to kind of pull back a little bit. So, and as you can see, I'm using Tim Holtz rub-ons. These are the phrases. I don't know what the name of it are. The name of it is... I can't read it. Sorry. But they just have a whole bunch of words, and I cut up a couple of different phrases to get the phrase I wanted. And as you can see, there's my bald spot. And I'm just using the popsicle stick that comes with it and the back of the X-Acto knife to push it down. I like to use the blade of the X-Acto knife to position the words where I like them, and then as I'm doing right here, and then once I have it in place, then I will use the back of the X-Acto knife to stick it down. And I don't worry too much about the Tim Holtz ones. His red ones seem to be pretty good, so I don't like put matte medium or anything over it. I just leave them as is. And this is a little bit of black archival ink right around the edges just to help frame the whole card in, and it is done. So it's a really pretty card. I like this card a lot. So stay tuned, and I'll show you in the future how I am storing these cards. So pretty fun technique. So I'll see y'all soon. Bye.